Let's continue exploring the 4 dominant personality types. Last episode, we deep dived the extroverted red director and introverted blue builder. Both videos are available on our YouTube page. Today, though, is the turn of the introverted green negotiator. Once complete, this series will map out each of the 4 dominant behavioral styles and outline the hormones in the brain driving the traits that make up each personality profile. So why is this all so powerful? Well, using this knowledge, you can not only increase tolerance and understanding of others, but also learn more about who you are, which is all fundamental in forming more compatible, long-lasting relationships in your life. Remember, we are profiling each type as if we're describing an individual on the extreme end of the scale, so a pure red, yellow, blue, or green type. However, it's important to know that nobody is 100% one type, and we can all express traits from multiple behavioral styles and at different times. You will, however, be able to identify which is the most dominant in your makeup. And once again, for clarity, the colour framework I'm using to categorise the 4 dominant behavioural types comes from Thomas Erickson's work that can be explored in his book, Surrounded by Idiots. Further to this, the character profiling and psychological studies surrounding the brain hormones associated with each type comes from Helen Fisher's work in her book, Why Him, Why Her. Both are highly recommended and provide an excellent foundation if you are interested in behavioural or personality type psychology and relationship biology. So with that said, let's get into the pure introverted green negotiator. As a pure-blooded green, you will find yourself on the introverted side of the spectrum, detailed here in my infographic. I've included a collection of green traits that provides a great overview of the type of person we're discussing here. Harmonious, people-focused, patient, cooperative, loyal, understanding, emotionally intelligent, supportive, helpful, and considerate are some of the clearly identifiable green traits. Do you recognize any of them? Green types, also referred to as negotiators for reasons that will become clear throughout this video, are imaginative and theoretical people. Unassuming, agreeable, and intuitive, Greens hold deep compassion for family, friends, and the less fortunate. With strong emotional intelligence, they are well equipped at handling all types of people. One of their core strengths is the ability to see the bigger picture, thinking contextually, holistically, and synthetically. With their synthesizing minds, they can more easily take information from various sources to arrive at novel or insightful solutions or conclusions. Known as web thinking, Greens have the natural ability to collect many pieces of information and envision the relationships between them. This is what it means to think in a web rather than straight lines. Psychological studies have likened the synthesizing mind to a searchlight rather than a laser. With this natural ability, they can hone in on patterns of data, read between the lines, and assemble facts while focusing on broader concepts or principles being extracted from the data. As a result, they enjoy tangents and lengthy intellectual diversions. The ability of web thinking stems from the hormone estrogen in both men and women. Personality type studies suggest that 30% of people are green types, with women making up the larger majority. Similar to how more men are found to be red directors, whose traits are directly linked to testosterone levels, more women are greens because their traits are linked to estrogen levels. Physical characteristics of both green men and women show signs of being exposed to elevated estrogen levels in the womb, for example, the lengths or comparisons of certain fingers on the human hand. So how does estrogen impact web thinking? The left and right hemispheres of the brain are connected by millions of nerve fibers. Individuals exposed to more estrogen in the womb have more connections to the 2 halves. This builds more wiring connecting further brain regions. So fetal estrogen constructs a well-connected brain. This enables the green negotiator's ability to collect and integrate a broad range of information. Just how testosterone in reds primes the brain for laser focus and narrow thinking, estrogen enables the opposite. Testosterone enables quick decision-making. Estrogen primes the brain to carefully consider from a zoomed-out view. Web thinking allows greens to think holistically and produce a type of synthesizing intelligence. This has many perks, one being imagination. Where creatives generate new ideas, those with great imaginations are able to more easily combine data and existing ideas to produce new concepts. Greens have this web thinking ability. They dive into stored knowledge, mentally assemble the info in new ways to communicate how such information is connected. As a result, Greens love to think abstractly. They think about only things that can be imagined. And imagination is also linked to estrogen. This can be observed in sex change patients. When exposed to more testosterone, they are found to imagine less and thinking becomes more concrete and decisive. When exposed to more estrogen, patients are found to take more time to consider options, but they also lose their once effective decisiveness. Scientists have also found that estrogen affects imagination through the memory system. The brain's primary memory center, the hippocampus, binds facts to build coherent scenes of both the past and future. The hippocampus is very sensitive to estrogen. This also feeds into a green's intuition. Intuition is where thoughts flow smoothly to a conclusion without being conscious of the steps taken to arrive there. This thinking pattern is also referred to as chunking. When learning a body of information, the individual starts to recognize patterns and organizes them into blocks of knowledge. Over time, these blocks are stored in long-term memory. Then when an experienced or well-versed person sees a single detail of a more complex pattern, they immediately tap into that block of stored knowledge, recognizing the larger picture, and are able to skip all the steps in between. Just like imagination, intuition is a spin-off of the green's synthesizing contextual web-thinking brain. Some refer to intuition as gut feeling. In effect, the brain knows something is there, so it provides you the initial signal. Then, as it subconsciously runs through the stored data, by the time the conclusion is found, it seems intuition has paid off. This builds a green's confidence to continue trusting their intuition or gut feeling. While yellows trust impulse, blues their values, reds their logic, for greens it's intuition. Furthermore, because the brain is well connected to the lungs, skin, stomach, heart and other bodily organs via body loops, neural circuits registering gut reactions or feelings when someone gets a hunch are real. Estrogen facilitates these body loops. As a result, greens may feel more bodily sensations when they think. Greens can also hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and are still able to function. Estrogen is likely to be involved here, as studies have found women to be particularly skilled at doing this. Negotiators excel at tolerating ambiguity. This can, though, lead to contradictions and make them comfortable with changing their mind more easily. This sign of mental flexibility is associated with estrogen, so intuition, imagination, and the tolerance of ambiguity all stem from a web-thinking mind. Greens are fascinated with people. They want to get to know you on a deep level, which can lead to deeply fulfilling, intense, intimate relationships. In fact, greens thrive at building strong attachments and sharing their lives with others. This drive to connect is linked to both estrogen and oxytocin, a chemical produced and triggered by estrogen. It's no surprise that a great deal of data suggests most women are interested in cooperation and interpersonal harmony than most men. Greens work hard to build and maintain a web of deep friendships, and many green men also display these traits too. Expert relationship builders, greens want to agree, accommodate, and always look to smooth out differences. They avoid direct conflict and competition, as controversy, debates, and disputes makes them uncomfortable. Greens want to be liked and have an array of skills to ensure they're successful at this. For example, empathy, a hallmark of the green. With superb emotional intelligence, greens are tuned in to others' needs and feelings. With the ability to infer what others are feeling or thinking and ability to respond appropriately, greens connect intimately. Both traits are a product of estrogen and oxytocin, which is released under stress. This is why many women and greens have a tendency to comfort and nurture others in stressful situations. Greens feel your pain. Imagination contributes to empathy too, and those who are more imaginative, for example, can more easily put themselves in the shoes of someone less fortunate and display more activity in their own pain centers when doing so. Thanks to estrogen and oxytocin, greens have many social talents. These chemicals provide the ability to override impulses, enabling them to more effectively achieve social goals. Those who primarily express estrogen in both women and men excel at picking up even subtle facial cues. These chemicals make them naturally more agreeable, trusting, sympathetic, cooperative, compliant, charitable, forgiving, and warm. Again, studies into hormone levels in sex change patients also evidences the loss or gain of these characteristics depending on whether it's testosterone or estrogen being increased. A green's trusting nature can be considered both a blessing and a curse. Some view overly trusting as someone who is easily swayed, weak, or vulnerable. Yet trusting can also be a powerful asset for greens. Trust the right person, and they can save themselves a lot of time and energy while also building stronger connections. Trusting others is an adaptive social skill and another hallmark of the green. Trusting is again linked to oxytocin, the chemical triggered by estrogen. A study found that men who were given oxytocin to sniff before playing a game for money became more trusting of strangers. They also cooperated more with this stranger to win. Another example is the drug ecstasy, which elevates levels of oxytocin and triggers the pro-social experience filled with empathy and deep connection. If yellows are optimistic, reds skeptical, blues pessimistic, then greens are trusting. Greens are also particularly good at expressing emotions with words. Verbal fluency has a long history of association with estrogen. The ability to find the right words rapidly and capacity to remember and pronounce them correctly increases for women during mid-cycle ovulation when estrogen levels peak. Many male green types also display remarkable verbal aptitudes. This makes greens particularly good writers, readers, and expressive communicators, both verbally and in written form. Superconsciousness and altruism. Greens have an awareness of everything around them. With the combination of web thinking, intuition, imagination, social skills, and empathy, greens are normally entirely aware of the living world. This makes them driven to contribute to society at large. Greens are born helpers. Personality type studies, for example, found greens most likely to become nurses or pursue endeavours that involve helping humankind in one way or another. For greens, altruism is different from the kind found in testosterone-fueled reds, who are likely to dash into burning buildings, for example. Greens clean up rivers, raise money for charity, or donate technical skills to help the poorest people. It's a type of altruism associated with low levels of testosterone. Estrogen and oxytocin are responsible for this as a result of the links to nurturing. They devote their lives to helping others and make sacrifices daily. Rather than logic, they follow their heart and look to do what's best for the group, even if it's impractical, challenging, or expensive. A green is more likely to choose lower paying jobs like care or social work. For them, charity is a supreme virtue, and they help because they must. A green looks both outwardly and also inwards. Self-knowledge is essential to them. They want to learn who they truly are. Self-discovery to a green is a quest. They want to be authentic and not present a facade. And because they have such great awareness of their every thought and action, they often live with the uncomfortable sense that they are not being genuine. Greens often feel that they are more than one person, so they search for their center to discover their true identity. As with all personality types, there is a dark side. It's not all plain sailing. Web thinking can cause greens to miss important details of the bigger picture. Too much digression makes them seem scatterbrained. They can be indecisive, mulling over the possibilities instead of acting. The need to please others can be deemed as placating. Overly trusting becomes gullible. Refusal to confront turns to backstabbing or gossip. They can be vicious with words. Supremely skilled at talking, listening, and connecting emotionally can result in them being so socially savvy that they can become insincere or shallow. Greens can get overly involved in your personal problems, then complain they feel burdened. Because they seek connection, some appear needy, constantly looking for reassurances in relationships. They can take casual comments as criticism and dwell on them. When betrayed, they can be unforgiving and hold grudges for years. They can become self-absorbed, self-critical, and self-conscious. Greens may be particularly susceptible to depression. Many major studies across multiple countries found women to display more symptoms of classically defined clinical depression than men, with strong links to estrogen levels. Ultimately, greens are peaceful, virtuous, charitable, and authentic people who strive to find the meaning of life and create a better world for everyone around them. With their broad gaze outward and penetrating search within, they achieve great wisdom. So that's the pure green personality profile broken down. Do you identify with the traits and characteristics discussed today? Or maybe you notice them in someone you know? If so, comment below. Either way, it's my belief that above all, understanding personality profiles and most importantly, identifying your own behavioral type has transformative benefits in terms of how we can more effectively navigate relationships and create more long-lasting, meaningful ones in our lives. Next up, we analyze the pure yellow explorer personality type. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're finding value in the content, and if this resonated, share it with someone who you feel may benefit, and I'll see you in the next one.